Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's Elijah the Third Gen here today, making a video on my first impression of Red Hood. But I want to give a quick little disclaimer. If you do hear a fan noise in the background, that's because Washington's getting heat fucked right now, so I got a nice fan going. Um, but either way, let's get into talking about Red Hood. Okay, so I think the most notable thing about Red Hood that everybody can agree on right away is its beautiful art. The art is absolutely beautiful. It's great, and especially in this scene with the werewolf, and the old lady morphing into the werewolf. I did not expect the art to be that grotesque, and especially when Velu cuts it open. That's a really sick scene. Um, and another thing that's super sick about this right away that I want to touch on is the fact that the author is so bold that they just said right away this is part 1 werewolf hunting, which is super sick. Because that means, like in the manga it said, vampires, whatever, that's really sick. It's basically going down the Grimm's fairy tale route, which I love because I read like the Grimm's fairy tale books. Like if anybody knows like the 3 series of books that was like based off the Grimm fairy tales, if anybody remembers that, I read those. And so I'm super looking forward to that. I'm really into this stuff. Like it's cool stuff. Um, and it's going to be really fun to see them just go through all this different stuff. And another thing is that's going to be cool to see is the introduction of the guild is what I'm looking forward to a lot, because as we know there's the Red Hoods, and eventually Velu. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but I'm going to call him Velu because Velu sounds sick. um but like introducing Velu to the Red Hoods and seeing like Grimm's status, because Grimm, let's talk about Grimm for a second here. This is all I need.
Who's that great ape right there? Sugriva. Is it dinner time? Is it dinner time? Oh, I think it is. I think it is. Oh, what a big song.
But either way, like, what's Grimm's status in the Red Hoods? Is she strong, weak compared to the others? Because I mean, we know she took down that werewolf kind of low diff. But we'll definitely see when we get introduced to the Red Hoods, and then maybe we'll get like some government. And the cool thing too is we were only introduced to this little town, and so maybe we'll get just so much good world building about this old medieval time, and the big cities, how they interact with the Red Hoods, the vampires, the werewolves, because as we know, the werewolves can turn into humans if they can sustain their urges long enough, if they can stop them long enough. So maybe a fucking werewolf runs a city or runs a cult and they sacrifice people to him. That's sick. Another thing that's great though, I don't have anything bad to say about this really. Another thing that's great is the emphasis on the weapons is cool, and how it's, I believe, the 616 weapons. So that'll be really cool if we get to see like all of them, and then maybe like the genius who made them or something like that. I think that would be something really cool to be further down the line. Like maybe they find something they can't beat with the 616, so they need to go find like the weapon maker and make a 617. That would be a really cool thing to see. Another thing I like is how, if you have heard the fairy tales, it's pretty, I mean, not predictable, but at a certain point, when he's going down the path and you see the blood and the axe, and they're like, oh, it's the mayor. And then you see the little house, like the second we saw the little house, as someone, Little Red Riding Hood, I was like, oh, it's the old lady, and that was kind of cool, because I hope they do that more with the story and these subversions of, oh, you think it's this guy, but no, this guy's a good guy. It's this guy who had two sentences, but it makes sense in line with the fairy tale, and that's pretty cool. The last thing that's really amazing about this series is the dialogue. It's very dark at moments where she's saying everything revolves around money, like you don't do anything for money, for no money. You don't do anything for no money. That's pretty cool. And then when Velu's talking about him being useless, or her talking about how they use their brains to fight, just like how animals adapted to use their unique things to fight, and that's really cool because I hope this dialogue continues throughout this series. Um, and with all that being said, that's my first thoughts on Red Hood. Yeah, Red Hood. I have Little Red Riding Hood in my head. But Red Hood. I think Velu can be a sick protagonist. Also, I love how he just stood up and killed the werewolf. But besides that, I don't have much else to say. If you did enjoy, please do not forget to like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Tells me you want more, yada yada yada. You know how it goes. Until the next one, peace.